All right, and now I do a podcast. I guess we do a podcast, whatever. Hey, gals, guys, and otherwise. This is Jonathan O. Roselion.
And I'm Noah, also known as Polyphonic, and you're listening to Horns and Wings, the podcast where we listen to... The podcast where we... Wait.
Yeah? I'm listening. You're correct so far.
The podcast where we listen to Noah and John talk about Saga one issue at a time.
So far removed. We're talking about issue number 24, which I am so happy to announce. We finally, Noah.
Finally?
We
finally.
Fuck a spider. Let's dive into it.
Alrighty.
I'm pumped. Theme song. So Noah.
Theme song.
Noah. Oh, first, because we didn't mention this last time.
Oh, yeah.
And we always get so fucking far behind this news because we forget to mention shit. But I do want to say, they just announced that Brian K. Vaughan's Ex Machina book, and who is it? Tony Harris is also the co-creator of that. But his Ex Machina comic is being adapted for a movie, TV show, whatever it is. And it's going to be called Great Machine. And we're going to talk about that book at some point on this.
Yeah, I think now that it's being adapted, it should be one of our priorities once we catch up.
Yeah. And what I was thinking, just because that's also a meaty series. That's like 7 books or whatever it is. I think we should do like 1 volume per episode for that.
I agree. I totally agree. We can make it a little mini series.
Yeah,
Beauty.
And we'll get Oscar Isaac on too.
Oh yeah.
If we change the name of the podcast, Ex Machina, he legally has to be in it. I love it. So yeah, look forward to that, and we'll review the movie if it ever comes out. When the fuck has I guess Runaways is the one Brian K. Vaughan adaptation that has existed.
Yep.
Which is sad.
So John,
Noah,
what are we looking at on the cover of this issue?
I love it. So just a heads up, I love anything remotely like pulp noir detective-y.
Yep.
And especially when you get to like the 30s and 40s films of that genre. And this is so anything with the brand is very much up my alley.
On brand for you.
No. And but we're looking at it's the brand walking towards us with Sweet Boy by their side, and they're holding. Should we call has Brand been referred to as she or they? I think Brand largely dodges the question, so I'm going to say they.
Yeah.
But we get a really cool backlight, which again, this is another example of Fiona Staples sort of using a thing in universe as more abstract backgrounds, even though if you actually, like, when you're looking at it, it seems abstract, but then if you actually think about it, it makes sense. And behind them is the what is that? The portal-y thing that you can make with the crash helm?
Yeah, I guess like the like rip in space-time.
Yeah. Which is providing the backlighting, and it is gorgeous. The
lighting in this is so like not like a Saga cover.
Yeah.
This feels, I love it. I mean, it feels like a movie poster, right? Like with the kind of neon blue light and the long shadows and everything. Like it feels like the brand's name should be on it in a fancy font. But it's so interesting to me because it's got all of the pieces that feel like it should be kind of like a traditional Saga cover, but then it doesn't have the color palette, and without the weird, stunning color palette, it doesn't look the same as like the Will and Lying Cats cover.
You know what? Yeah, what it largely is that lighting, because there's usually not dramatic lighting on these covers. They're usually very painted and very cover-y, and there's not usually that dominant light source. But yeah, with those long shadows, and they're walking on like sort of, it looks like cobblestone, and it's very The Third Man, like very classic noirish. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's very cool. And doesn't really set the tone for the comic at all, because it's all, the comic itself is very bright and poppy. So, but it sets the tone for the brand, I think.
Yeah. I think it's a great character shot for the brand.
Yes, for sure.
Also, I checked the official Saga wiki uses female pronouns for the brand, and I think the brand is referred to as the Will's sister by someone at some point.
Oh yeah, sister. But is there a, I guess sibling would be the
Sibling,
non-binary.
Yeah. No, I have non-binary friends who their siblings refer to them as sibling.
That adds up. All right. So, well, you know what? This first page echoes our lack of clarity here. I'm gonna let you take this one, Noah. I feel like it's been a while since you kicked this off.
I would love to take this one.
You're welcome.
We open once again another fourth wall break. We're looking down at Ghüs, and he asks, "Are you lady folk?" "No, Ghüs, I'm not, but I appreciate the question."
Hey, no, you're leaving out a massive detail of this splash.
Oh yeah. Did I mention Ghüs is holding a giant fucking golden axe?
I love it.
Yes. So
it's a flipper holding on to it too. It's not even, makes no sense. I love it. All right, go ahead.
So then we cut back and we see it's our friend, the brand, and the brand and her sidekick, their sidekick.
Let's go with her.
The brand and her sidekick, Sweet Boy, are introduced to Ghüs by the brand. That's a completely normal way of saying that sentence.
We're doing the Haley school of of summaries here.
But yeah, the brand asks for Ghüs's name, and the brand says Ghüs, and Ghüs says nope, Ghüs, which I love. But then she pulls out an old picture of the Will with hair, mind you, looking very sad and drunk. Angry and drunk, maybe? Probably angry and drunk. And Ghüs is the cutest fucking thing in the world as he squints and says, "Don't think I've seen him." But Ghüs was saying that he hopes it's about the people that took Friendo. We learn that he traded Friendo for the axe, which he calls a chopper, because Ghüs is the best. And then Ghüs kind of describes who he sold Friendo to, which, as we know, is Alana and Marco and Clara, etc. And the brand looks over to see the smoldering ruins of Heist's lighthouse and realizes Alana and her family were here. And then Ghüs asks who that is. The brand says, those are the ones my friends were looking for. And the brand pulls out a picture of the Will's ship, the Onion ship. And then Ghüs says that he recognized the ship. And that he saw, he says, the only person I ever saw get out of that thing was lady folk, tall girl with dark skin and real big horns. And then we end the scene with the brand kind of giving Sweet Boy a horns look, and Sweet Boy going like, "Oh."
Unquote. Yeah, no, I love this scene. So yeah, I love that. First of all, we were left with such a crazy cliffhanger last issue, and in pure Saga fashion, it's like, nah, you don't get to know what happened.
It's just such a slow first scene. I'm trying to remember, where did we last leave off with the brand?
The brand was in the hospital. At the end of last volume.
Oh yeah, visiting
Will.
Will. Billiam.
Yep. And but also just what a good callback to, I believe, was it Goose's first line, the "Are you lady folk?"
Yep,
to
yep.
Prince Robot.
Yeah.
So that's a great callback.
I just like, there's not enough you can say about Ghüs. He's just the most fucking delightful thing, and I'm so happy that we get a scene with some more Ghüs here.
Also, we get a definitive pronunciation of Goose with that great joke of Goose saying goose, and then the brand says goose, but Goose, and Goose corrects her, and the brand's like, I thought that's what I said. So that's a very subtle and smart way of telling us how to generally say Goose's name or something.
I think it's also like a really fun way of being metafictional without like completely breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah,
and I think it's just, again, showing that Brian K. Vaughan really understands his medium, because that's like, that's a joke that if you do that on film, it's okay, but it only really works because it's written, right?
Hey, Noah, when are we getting an Untitled Goose game?
Oh man.
Shit, cut that out. This is
we gotta
gold.
This is how we make millions.
What else? I love that the brand is just straight up being a noir detective in this.
This whole scene just feels so like genre, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun thing that we've seen a little bit in Saga, is it's this strange, diverse universe. You can kind of see all of these different genres play out in it. Like, you see the horror, you see the film noir, you see the kind of like war movie, political thriller. Like, there's all this. It's just this kind of like little playground where Brian K. Vaughan can play with archetypal characters, and he's so good at kind of like leaning into archetypal characters, but giving them a fun little kind of twist and enough personality that they don't just feel like they don't feel bland and hollow, right?
Yeah, totally. Which, that's so interesting. Like, that's something that I haven't really thought that much about, is how much Saga does not fit into any genre whatsoever. That it is so, and not that it is like genre-less, but it just is all genres at the same time. And I think that has to do with how big it feels, and how just sort of like compare that to a book like Ed Brubaker's Criminal, where it's gone on probably close to as long as Saga, but I think it never feels as big because it is so like its feet are so planted in that noir genre that it just feels like such a confined and sort of straight as an arrow like focused on what its story is.
And then I think kind of the flip side of that is something like Doctor Who, where Doctor Who jumps into all of these genres, but it's so loose that it kind of feels like different universes entirely sometimes.
Right.
Whereas Saga, the universe is big enough, but it has this kind of coherence where you're like, oh yeah, no, sure, no, yeah, why wouldn't there just be like a straight up film noir detective story in the middle of this plot line?
Right, and I think that's where I think the difference between, because Doctor Who is always, just tethered to the Doctor, and so when it swaps genres, it feels so much more just like all over the place, opposed to when we are with the brand, that is when we get the detective genre, and it's not Isabel playing noir detective. Like, Isabel has her own sort of attitude and tone and, in a way, genre attached to her big moments and stuff like that. So it works incredibly well. So it really is just that ensemble cast plus the willingness to tell these different types of stories and have different tones. And it's a good book.
And I think it's really cool because I think kind of going in here into the next scene, which you're about to talk about, there's more of the kind of noir feeling to it, right? It still kind of feels like a crime spy thriller type
like a
thing.
heist typey. Yeah. It's very pulp. It's very pulp for sure.
Yeah.
And also one other thing I really like is that we get an official name for the onion ship, and it is the Star Whacker.
Oh yeah. I skimmed over that. That's so good.
Anything else from this? Nope. I like
think...
this. Oh, you know what? I will say, we dwelled on the death of Heist, but I think we lost an even more valuable character that is even more heartbreaking, and that is the Lighthouse.
This is true. This is true. We have a moment of silence for our lost utopia.
Kill everything until only the darlings remain. All right. We want to keep this party going?
Yeah, let's do it. Hit me up.
All right. I will hit you up and keep this party going. We start out
Hello, fellow youths.
This is certainly, if I were to describe this scene in one word, it is lit. So we get that transition of Ghüs talking about lady folk, tall girl with dark skin and real big horns, and we cut to Gwendolyn, who we also have not seen since the last issue of last volume, who's going through a filing cabinet in a very cavernous, sort of cotton candy colored setting, and off
blue cotton candy. I'll specify, not the pink stuff.
Oh yeah, this is that Fun Dip blue green good shit.
Yeah.
So we hear off panel, "Oi you." And we are introduced to these
I'm looking forward to this.
These sort of naked mole rat type. Oh boy, what do you even? They're dressed in almost like World War I German uniforms.
Yeah.
But they're holding just big clubs, wooden clubs, and they're the guards on or the patrollers on Patent Planet. Is where we are at, Patent Planet. And they said show some ID. The visitors aren't allowed this deep in Patent Planet. Gwendolyn calls out, Sophie, get the fuck out of here. And when we cut to Sophie, who has aged significantly and is very exciting. A good, 2 years on? Yeah. Whatever that time jump was.
2-3 years, yeah.
She's calmly going through another filing cabinet and just says, haven't found it yet. You're going to have to handle things. And just Gwendolyn is stuck facing these, would you say naked mole rat people? Some kind of weird rat pig
naked
monsters.
Regular rat.
And they have the best British accent and say find whoever she's talking at. That's what we're going with, Noah.
I'm so ready for this.
I'll finish this brown moony slag. And then
I don't know why you're pulling out your best Walder Frey for that.
So Gwendolyn kicks into gear here and just smacks one of them in the face with her staff, which we're finally getting to see her use her staff. And his eye pops out. It's fucking gross. Another one yells, "Killer!" And I'm free for the audiobook, by the way. And as she does a fucking dope, what do you call that?
Neo in the Matrix.
With the fighting all the Agent Smiths. She does this rad kick to one of them's throat as she casts a spell that lights another one on fire, which she says, "Cunt and cunt."
Can we get that in the accent,
cunt and cunt.
You've gotten a bit more Hagrid into it now.
And then the amazing, "Gonna eat your filthy cervix." Which she naturally responds to, "Ew." And then right into the mouth, she elongates the lance that she still has from the will, and also she's still wearing the cloak because it's fucking rad. But she cuts right into this guy's mouth, out the back of his head. He drops dead. And Sophie arrives finally. She has the scroll with Formula 967 that they were looking for. But then Gwendolyn gets knocked in the back of the head by one of the massive clubs, and it's the guy who had an eye knocked out, and his eye is just dangling, and it's fucking gross. And he's about to do unpleasant things to them. He says, after I'm done with your friend, I'll still have plenty for you. And we get the amazing splash page.
Such a good page turn.
Of behind him, just ready to pounce on top of one of the filing cabinets is Lying Cat saying lying. And it is so fucking good. And I love this scene. I love it.
Before we started recording, we were just talking a bit about this issue, and you said that it's kind of like an Avengers Endgame kind of thing, and this scene is exactly that mentality. Like, not in the giant world ending, but in the drop in on a character we haven't seen for a while. They're doing their job. They're doing it really well. It's really cool and fun. You get to see a bit of each of the gang, like, do their own thing.
Yeah, that's what, like, specifically, like, Infinity War, that especially the part where Captain America shows up and like catches the staff or sword or whatever it was, and it's just this, like, just everyone gets their rad moment, and it's these, like, just reminding you who each character is because it's been so long since we've seen them and what the whole dynamic is, and it's so fun. It's so good.
I think it's cool too, though, because in addition to just reminding you, it's showing you their growth. Like, it's nothing here, they don't tell you anything here, but it's implied that Gwendolyn and Sophie have kind of been having adventures together. It's implied, like, and you can show by Gwendolyn's abilities that she's, like, kind of used to the freelancer life now, and she is used to using the lance, and Lying Cat trusts them, and there's so much kind of character growth that's implied by this scene. I think it's, like, really a masterclass in, like, getting up to speed with what these people have been up to.
Yes. And also something that I think is really striking and really effective is with that Lying Cat reveal is so satisfying and so cool. And I think one of the most effective splash pages, even though it's not, like, I think specifically because it is not this massive, like, crazy character like reveal or anything, or there's no real scale to it. In fact, it is so in contrast with so many splash pages because it's pretty much a close up on the patroller and him looking backwards, and we see the reveal of Lying Cat, and the lighting is so well done. And so dramatic.
I think the composition is incredible too, because Lying Cat's back is kind of arched and it pulls you down diagonally, so you see Lying Cat's face first, and then it pulls you down to in the bottom right corner, because you read top left to bottom right, you see the guy, kind of the scary. In this scene, he looks less like a rat and more like a goblin.
Yeah.
Generic grunt.
I don't know what they are. I don't like it. Yeah, they are very goblin-y.
They look... Also, they look so fucking disgusting when their faces are melting.
Yeah, it doesn't help when, like, their eyes popped out.
Yeah.
Too. But yeah, which, again, this series knowing exactly what it needs to do with these characters and its design, just someone that you have, like, you don't care that they're immediately murdered.
Yep.
Yeah, because fuck ugly people, right? That's what we're about on this podcast.
Yeah, about that, John. I've got something I need to tell you.
Don't tell me you're not as handsome as your self-drawn picture.
I do believe someone on Twitter once said they like to imagine me as a mixture between Leonardo DiCaprio and Ryan Gosling, and that is exactly what I look like.
Yeah. And, people have seen videos of me, so they know exactly how fucking hot I am.
I think the other cool thing here is that we see Sophie gets a costume change, and she's got this, like, hoodie poncho thing on that kind of looks like it's kind of the same deal as the Will's cape. I've always thought it's got, like, the hood. It looks like it might be bulletproof.
Yeah, it is. I kind of want one of these, even though it seems very impractical because it is that sort of poncho, like no sleeves to it. And then also it has like the hoodie pouch and hood. It's got like a big pink bow. I love it. It's very cute.
It's very cute. And I'm going to assume it can stop bullets. And until I'm proven otherwise, and I really hope now that I say that, I really hope that I'm not proven otherwise.
I do not put it past this fucking comic, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, next scene.
Yeah, let's do it.
Turns out we're still on Cotton Candy Planet, and the sky is pink, so it really is Cotton Candy Planet.
There it is. Redemption.
We get a wide shot of the Onion ship sitting outside a cave, and then we see the kind of rift in space-time caused by the crash helm. We probably are going to need a word for this. What do we want to call this? Like the rip? The
crash rip.
The crash rip.
Rip torn.
The rip. Okay, we see the rip torn in space-time. And out of the rip torn in space-time steps the Brand. She sees the Onion ship. She says it's his all right, and notes that Gwendolyn knew enough to take out the transponder, but did a shit job covering her own tracks. And this line that I love: "This whole place is lousy with exotic matter," which is just a neat little bit of world building.
I also love the line after that too, which I think is worth.
Billy, always getting mixed up with reckless broads, which is just pure pulp detective. And then we hear someone say, "It's unseemly," from off screen. And we cut back and, oh, look, this was actually just a continuation of the scene we were at. Mm-hmm. We see the three of them walking out with Lying Cat carrying one of their heads in Lying Cat's mouth. And Gwendolyn says, "Please make her drop that." But Sophie says, "Nah, let her keep it. It's good for her teeth." And then they encounter the Brand, who pulls a switchblade and says, "What the fuck are you doing with my brother's cape?" And then there's kind of this moment of just a great shock reaction. And we go into combat. Sweet Boy snuffed two little like darts into the neck of Lying Cat, who keels over. And this part is so fucking cool.
Hell yes.
Gwendolyn launches the lance toward the Brand, and you kind of get this as a POV shot with the lance coming to you. The Brand responses by using her switchblade to slash a rip torn into space-time. And the end of the lance presumably goes and skewers some poor unsuspecting person, or just like a random place.
Goes and cuts that one one-armed soldier's other arm off, and now he's really out for revenge.
It pokes the strap-on dragon. It doesn't kill it. It just gives it a little poke.
Somewhere Fard is getting mugged, and it stabs the person, and Fard continues to live on.
And so the Brand grabs Gwendolyn and holds the knife to her face, says, "Why did you stab him?" From the side, Sophie says, "She didn't, I did." The Brand doesn't believe her, but Sophie says, "I'm telling the truth, you evil B-word," which you'd know if you hadn't killed our Lying Cat. And we learn that no, Lying Cat wasn't killed. Lying Cat was only sedated, as the Brand tells us, which is good. I'm glad that they didn't try to milk this Lying Cat fake out like the first one. And then Gwendolyn has a bunch of questions for the Brand, asks how she got and knows how to use a crash helm. The Brand said that she did grad school on the moon before she joined the Freelancers. And then Gwendolyn kind of updates us as to everything that happened on... Did we Mountainia was the name of the planet that I dubbed it Mountainia. Yeah.
No, it wasn't that. It was something better. And
Yeah. Okay. Okay. But Sophie says, I'm going to fix it, and pulls out a scroll. And we learn that that scroll has the formula for an elixir that will heal the Will's wounds. And Sophie says, why are you telling her everything about our quest? And Gwendolyn says, Sophie, for the last time, this is not a stupid quest. And the brand looks at Sophie and says, your name is Sophie? Sophie says, the Will gave it to me. He gave me everything. And then the brand kind of turns over and interrogates Gwendolyn, asks why she's on this quest. Gwendolyn says, I've just come to realize that the Will is the only person in your reprehensible line of work qualified to complete a singularly important job. Which is hilarious.
Sure.
And so the brand says that they're gonna take vacation, the Brand and Sweet Boy. They've got accrued vacation time. They're gonna take some time and help the crew with this quest.
Adventure!
Yeah. The crew's getting together. She says Sophie can't come. Sophie protests, but Gwendolyn says she's a duly sanctioned page, which means she has the legal right to follow Gwendolyn into anywhere, including a theater of war. And so then they pull out the scroll, and Gwendolyn says the main ingredient this elixir requires is dragon semen, which I suppose means we're off to Demimonde. And then there's the brand just looks kind of horrified and says, Demimonde, that's where the stock is from. And we get our last shot is Sophie looking at Gwendolyn saying, the who?
A bit of an exposition dump, but a very
a believable
fun
one.
Yeah, and a very fun interaction. I love just seeing known characters come together for the first time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun with that. I think we're getting to see, now that she's a bit older, we're getting to see a bit more personality out of Sophie too, which is fun. I like the line, you know your dog smells like hot garbage juice, right?
I'm really loving Sophie's characterization here, young Sophie, with that sort of, like, they've gone such a logical route with it where she's desensitized to things, but in such a childlike way of like, oh, guts are cool and shit like that. Like, just let her keep her. She refers to the decapitated head as her toy.
Yeah. She's fine with Lying Cat.
B word.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. I think it's fun, and I think it's cool to see that Sophie's getting a bit more characterization now.
Yeah, and also that she still has that sort of childlike perspective despite what she's been through, and it feels good to see her a bit more positive and a bit more energetic than like. I'm glad that she's bouncing back in a way that she's not just miserable and traumatized as she should be, but she's a fighter.
And one more thing that I feel like I didn't draw enough attention to it because this is Saga and this has gotten so normal to me. But it's fucking amazing that the main ingredient they need for their elixir is dragon semen, right?
It's so good. And I'm not convinced that BKV had like any idea where that was going beyond what's the most absurd fucking thing I can pick.
Yeah.
That is going to be so stupidly hard for them to get. But like that already, it's so funny that there are a few things that he could have said there that are more exciting just story-wise than dragon semen. It's such a the idea of like I don't even know what the fuck that's gonna require, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the whole opening the Rip Torn to stop the
Oh my God, that
is such a great action moment. You know what I realized?
It's just such a clever use of not one but two really cool pieces of technology we've been shown.
Yeah, you know what I would love, because I realized the other day that we haven't really gotten a proper like prolonged action sequence in this book really since the Will and Gwendolyn going to get Sophie before. We've had like a little bits of like when
I don't
they
know.
fire the missile at the ship and
I think
stuff.
the climactic scene last issue was pretty action packed.
With I would agree with that for sure. And we got those little moments and those beats and the back and forth sort of power struggle. But like it's something that I absolutely love seeing in this book, and I really do feel like they're few and far between. I feel like it's a lot of big single image moments or just a couple image moments, like with Dango stabbing Princess Robot or something like that, or even like there wasn't that much definitive action. We were just seeing sort of half of it with Dango taking over the ship, or with the specifically like with the spinal cord scene.
I think it's really cool because between the opening scene and this, I think what we've gotten, that I think a story has, like, it has to have some good low stakes action where like this is fun action. There's cool stuff going on. I mean, especially the scene you described with like Gwendolyn kicking the dude and stuff, but it's the start of an issue. Like, it doesn't really feel like this is something everything has been culminating to. It feels like this is just kind of like lighter, breezier conflict that you don't really think a character is going to die in it, right?
Yeah. It really feels like that sort of, and I love what it sort of implies about like what their story has been up to this point with Sophie and Gwendolyn, where it's just like, it brings me some joy to think of the adventures they're going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that portal moment. Was rad.
Already, I believe in Gwendolyn and Sophie's like rapport with each other more than I believe in Anakin and Obi-Wan's by the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Correct. And also, I do want to point out that once the brand recognizes Lying Cat, she points out that last time I saw her, she was a kitten. Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples, I know you're listening.
Lion Kitten. You want a Lion Kitten image?
If I do not get a Lion Kitten by the end of this fucking series, I will personally go and delete every episode we've done off the face of the fucking planet out of pure spite. Give me Lion Kitten, for the love of fuck, please. Okay, so I'm good. I'm satisfied with this scene. I'm not satisfied with the lack of Lion Kitten, but I'm satisfied with this scene.
You ready to get satisfied in the next scene?
That juicy juice. That yummy yum, Noah.
Speaking of satisfaction.
We cut to a close-up of the stalk, because she's never fucking gone from this series. She's saying, don't stop, and we pull back, but we certainly don't pull out. We just pull back to the stalk with surrounded by massive spider web, and on top of her is the Will, and they're having sex somehow. And I see it happening, but my brain does not process what's happening here.
What would be our sex description as to what they're doing in this sex scene?
Let's save that for post description here, because I need a moment to.
Okay, I've got a good one.
Okay, good. Hold on to that. And the stalk is into it. She's saying just like that, and in the heat of the moment, she says, "Oh God, I want to have your babies." And the Will says, "What now?" And they stop, and She says she just got lost in the moment, like that time I told you to stick it in my spinneret. And so the Will is very concerned by this, though, and keeps pushing her and says, "You want to be a mother? You remember what we do for a living, right?" As if it's sort of some kind of moral superiority or lack thereof here, that she doesn't deserve to be a mother, or it's unsafe to be a mother. And she says, "Unlike you, I'm more than my fucking job description." And she says, "You could show yourself out, Will," as she kisses him on the cheek. "I'll get myself off." And we see that. Do I want to do the next? Yeah, I'll do the next page too while we're at it. We see that where her sort of needle tongue has stung him in the cheek, and a drop of blood is coming down. And we get that as a transition to the Will lying in his hospital bed, still unconscious, and a drop of blood is running down his cheek from the orderly or nurse shaving him. And he says, "This guy's a goddamn zucchini. How long do we have to keep grooming the poor bastard?" And the other bear nurse says that as long as the money keeps coming in, and that apparently freelancers have a very good medical plan, so they've got it better than America. Apparently, they are interrupted with a doctor covered in blood coming in, saying a whole platoon of wounded from Unger have just come in, so all hands on deck. And the nurse rushes out saying, "I'm in the wrong line of work." And so that's just a quick little update of where the Will's at, and he is apparently conscious in his vegetable state, or dreaming.
Yes,
at least in his vegetative state. We fuck a spider here, Noah.
I'm gonna call it a
Finally.
I'm gonna call it we sticky dangle fuck a spider.
Now I'm gonna have to insist that you only call me Sticky Danglefuck from now on. When are we getting Sticky Danglefuck as a character in this? Please.
Welcome to Horns and Wings. I'm Noah,
Right.
also known as Polyphonic.
Hey,
and
guys, otherwise, I'm Sticky Danglefuck. Fuck, I gotta write this down. Yeah, Brian, I know you're listening. I know you. That's go ahead. You can have that one for free. Hot new freelancer, the Sticky Danglefuck.
The sticky dangle fuck. Yeah, I think this just continues our theme of weird sexual history things that the Will hallucinates that reveal things about his character.
But here's the thing, is I feel like these 3 pages are revealing so little that it really is just BKV finally being like, okay, I gotta show how they fucked. We've implied it for so long.
I think it's the thing is though, I think it actually is like a real character growth moment, which is also fucking wild that you can have a sticky dangle fuck with a character growth moment shoved inside.
There is something growing, shove it inside.
There's a lot
there.
of character growth there.
There's a lot of character growth there. Yeah, no, I think that this is, it's also kind of depressing, but it's the most Will-ass thing that he's just reliving these regrets, because I'm assuming that's how I'm seeing it, is that he wished he had said yes to, hey, let's have kids, instead of immediately shaming her.
Or at least been open to it and open to settling down and becoming more than just a freelancer.
Yeah, I think the key thing here is that, unlike you, I'm more than my fucking job description, which the Will very much has been up to this point. And I think that was him rescuing Sophie was sort of his way of trying to move beyond that, and sort of failing. But yeah, I don't know. That's I like that he's in a vegetative state and we're still getting some character development on the Will.
I also really like that he's alive, and this seems to indicate that he's gonna be a factor going forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see. This whole issue. I like we're mixing up the structure for the arc, and I love that it's just like, okay, we've been very laser focused on it is Dango, it is Prince Robot, and it is Alana and Marco, and these are our storylines. And then it's like right when that hits its peak, right when it hits its climax, and right when it's the biggest cliffhanger, here's what everyone else has been up to, and here's the adventures they're going on, and also it's just a breath of fresh air for this whole series.
And I think a really interesting thing about this issue, and we'll learn that as we turn to the next page, is there's no narration in this entire issue.
Yeah, which again,
no Hazel, which makes it makes sense given the characters you're following.
Yeah, they're very consistent in that. No, if there's no Hazel in it, then there's no narration.
Yeah,
so I love it.
And the other thing that I just love, and in this scene that we've seen a bit of throughout this whole issue, is like the freelancers' insurance plans and the fact that like they get to accrue vacation days and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Once again, just I've said it before, like sticking something completely fantastical with something completely mundane is one of the things that Saga does really, really well.
And it's also showing you fucking unionize people, please.
Yeah. Jesus
Christ, the fucking murderers can do it. So can some video game developers. All right, you want to do this last scene?
Yeah, this last beautiful scene.
Oh, I'm hyped. Oh, this is just Avengers. Okay, go for it.
So we open on Ghüs staring up at the stars, not unlike a young Luke Skywalker or something like that.
Near identical, I would say.
Yep. His chopper is laid across his lap. That's the word. And someone says Ghüs from off screen, and it kind of startles Ghüs, and he looks around and he sees Yuma. So Yuma is not dead, presumably. Or maybe Ghüs is having a hallucination. Ghüs says, Yuma, never thought I'd see you back here. In case you can't recall, Yuma used to be Heist's wife, so presumably lived in the lighthouse for a while with Heist, so that's how Ghüs would know her. Just keeping everyone up to speed. Yuma says something terrible has happened, and Ghüs says, so you heard, yeah, real shame about Mr. Heist. But Yuma says, I'm not here about my ex-husband. This is about Friendo. And Ghüs says, oh no, they didn't treat her wrong. But Yuma says, no, they've been excellent to your beast. But then Yuma says, Ghüs, your tribe has some sort of link to its animals, right? If one went missing, you could follow it. To which Ghüs kind of scratches his head and says, yeah, sure, for a little ways at least. He says, doesn't know exactly how far. The furthest he's tracked is about halfway across the tundra. And then we get a robot voice from off screen that says, that'll have to do. Ghüs turns around, goes, gah, shockingly, and we get one of the greatest splash pages in all of Saga. We turn the page and we see Dark Mode Prince Robot standing next to Marco, who has grown a beard and is holding the bat shield and sword, and says, sir, we need your help finding our families.
Sir, we're here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative.
Oh my god, what a way to end an issue. What a way to end an arc.
Oh my
god.
So exciting.
Also important to note, Prince Robot's face is a red lightning bolt crackling across the
Very
the screen.
Dark Knight Returns.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is again keeping up with that pattern of the last issue of each arc is really just a big old teaser for the next arc.
Yeah, it's such a setup. I remember,
this is satisfying.
I remember by the time I read this, I had caught up and there was nothing out, and I remember reading this and closing it being like, what the fuck? What do I do now?
Oh man, this really Saga does this thing, and it does it. these are always the issues I remember most because they are the ones I need the most,
Yep.
because they are so good about, like, right when I am just getting sort of like emotionally torn down by the storyline and it becomes like exhausting, all the drama that's happening. They are so good at throwing in just an amazing straight up adventure issue, like just that is
Yeah.
a treat, that is just fun. It's not hyper depressing, and this is up there. This is one of the best, and I fucking love it.
Oh,
So
what a
fun. Yeah, we get Ginny's seal or boy, Ginny's sword and shield that we unknowingly
Yep.
set up last issue, which is fucking great.
Yeah, that's such a. I love that too, because that's such a little thing where like you don't have a scene where they're drawing attention to it and Ginny's talking about her like ancestral family shield or something. It's trusting the audience to have seen this and picked it up, and if they didn't, well, then it's a fun Easter egg for them to pick up in the second reread, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it really trusts the audience to pick up on these things, which is wonderful.
And just a big, I've said a million times how brilliant Saga is at doing the least intuitive thing and the least obvious thing, and it works out perfectly. The fact that BKV had the fucking clarity and know-how to be like, okay, we have the biggest, like, craziest sort of cliffhanger that we've done so far of them getting the couple getting separated for the first time, and a terrorist kidnapping most of the family, and fucking Prince Robot, the guy who's been trying to hunt them down and murder them or capture them the entire issue, finding Marco and all this crazy shit. And then he's like, you know what I do after this? I ignore all of that entirely. We go on this whole other quest, whole other adventure with these characters you nearly forgot about, but you're in love with, and just make it a joy. And then we do another time jump, and you don't get to see what happens next. And it is 1,000% more engaging than if they had just picked up where they left off, and it is so much more interesting and exciting and has me so much more jazzed for whatever's going to come next, than if we had seen whatever happened between Prince Robot and Marco.
I love the time jumps in Saga.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's really cool because Brian K. Vaughan has kind of talked about before how they were built kind of out of necessity, because a lot of his inspiration for the story is kind of like growing up and raising his own kid, right? Mm-hmm. But if you didn't have the time jumps, then his problems would become significantly more detached from the problems of the family. But because he's been able to craft this plot where he can jump a couple of years forward, that can kind of catch the lag up to speed, right?
Yeah, and just it's so valuable with just the story and the characters growing with you as you're reading it in real time.
Yeah.
Like, this really is a fucking saga, and this is just a part of your life if you are a reader of the monthlies. Like, it is just there.
And I think this is something that you can only really do in comics. I guess you can do it in like the written medium too, like with the written word, but there's something super cool about the visual reaction to like, oh, here's what this character is 10 years on, or I mean, in this case, like a year or two, I think, on maybe. We don't really know, but you can actually like really kind of believably do these jumps in comics in a way that you really have a hard time doing in other mediums.
Actually, I can confirm that as of the beginning of this arc, because I was just reading the letters column earlier.
Yep.
I believe that at the beginning of this arc that Hazel is 19 Earth months old.
Okay.
So going on to, which still means that because Princess Robot is giving birth at the beginning of the arc, That she was pregnant for a good 19 months, but I don't fucking know how robots work. Like, sure, you can have that one, I guess.
Well, I also don't know that those timelines have to line up exactly. Like, the characters weren't interacting with each other, so they could have been functioning on different timelines, right?
Yeah, we don't know how long it's been since Prince Robot, because there is a lot of travel for Prince Robot of he's on Sextillion and then he goes all the way back to his planet and sees his father, and then he goes all the way to Gardania. So yeah, like that could have been months long. That adds up.
I'm gonna just like completely preemptively strike here, and I'm gonna say my favorite moment of the issue is the last page. So, good luck.
Oh, that's good. Dude, I'm breaking new ground here. You're breaking new ground.
Yeah.
The
newgrounds.com.
The whole issue is my favorite moment.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
I am 100% doing it, Noah, because it as a whole and the whole vibe it gave me and the pacing of the whole thing is absolutely my favorite part. Just retroactively taking this in as a whole, I was at such a peak throughout the entirety of it, and I never came down from it, and it was so thoroughly satisfying throughout that it is just one big fun side quest for me. And Noah, fucking stop me, motherfucker. What, you want to fucking fight? I'll fucking do this. Let's go outside, motherfucker.
All right. Well, you're power tripping.
You know what? The whole arc is my favorite moment. You have no power here. You have no power in this realm.
And then what is like the entire discography of the Beatles your song of the week?
Noah, do not put that idea in my mind.
This playlist is about to be 40 hours longer.
Just people on shuffle, just desperately trying to find a non-Beatles song. No, I have a song of the week, and it is going with. Actually, I think it's one that you would like, and I get the feeling that you might not have heard it. But here, have you watched the film The Conversation by Francis Ford Coppola? So it is the film he did between Godfather 1 and 2, and it is this sort of like paranoid thriller type of thing, and it's about a guy who is paid to sort of get audio from like to spy on people pretty much. He's like a private detective that like gets audio from conversations that are hard to hear, and he has all this equipment to get long distance audio and stuff, and sort of accidentally the people who he was spying on get murdered shortly after, or something along those lines, and it's like this whole like I worked for the wrong people type of thing. But the score to it is by one of my favorite composers definitely from the 70s, David Shire. And I actually just the other day was listening to was it Take 5?
Oh yeah.
And then it reminded me of this score, and I went to listen to this other score. So the theme from The Conversation by David Shire, but the reason I'm picking it is so perfectly detective noir-y, and it is just look at the cover of this comic and listen to that song, and it's gonna be pitch perfect.
I will certainly check that out.
Yeah, you're gonna like it. It's good shit.
I think the song that I'm going to suggest you've probably never heard of either. So Ghüs calls the axe a chopper. And that made me think there's this song by a Turkish musician called Boris Manço. I have no idea how to pronounce this.
Yeah. Boris Manço,
yeah. Varis with a little squiggly space.
Yeah, with a little squiggly, yes.
And then his last name is Manc with a little squiggly O.
Yep.
I'm sure I'm just butchering whatever's coming up. But but the song is called Nick the Chopper.
There you go.
And it's about a dirty old man who lives in the wood chopping trees and who's going to kill you, and his name is Nick the Chopper. So it's not completely on theme, but
well, no, that's actually where Fart is at after the time right now.
I just liked the idea of Ghüs becoming a mythical figure, Ghüs the Chopper, who's instead of being a dirty old man is just like a cute otter man. Seal man, I guess.
There you go.
All right. Are we gonna play that sweet question of the week theme music?
Roll that beautiful theme footage. You have a question for us, Noah?
I don't think I do. Do you have a question, John?
Yeah. I'm gonna take a page out of Noah's book of asking
really good
bizarrely
questions,
deep and important.
Is it
really
gonna be?
important questions.
Are you gonna ask about spider sex?
Would you fuck the stalk?
We're just overtly getting there now.
Question of the week, question of the month, really. Would you fuck the stalk?
So,
that's it.
All right.
No,
would you sticky
right
dangle fuck the stalk?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to hold out on this answer. I'm gonna really have to consider this strongly.
Yeah,
I'll get back to you because it's a rough one.
Also, what's the name? I mean, is sticky dangle fuck the name for the sex position that they use too, or is there like a spidery?
No, that's missionary.
Oh yeah, spider missionary. Does it count as missionary if you're dangling from webs in the air?
Spider-Man missionary. I don't know. Why don't you ask your wife? That you don't even have one of those. All right, so
I'm working on it. Call me back in way too soon.
No, can't believe you're engaged and you haven't even fucked a spider woman from a web yet. No, you're really. Oh boy, talk about the old ball and chain. Hey,
okay,
we did an episode, and I'm proud of us.
Yeah, where can people find you, John?
They can find me on Twitter.
It'll be under an hour after post.
And after I get through this really fast, they find me on Twitter. I'm at Jonathan Oscar. Spell it yourself. And Make Stuff. We do some stuff occasionally on Make Stuff once in a while. And go check out hornsandwings.com. And we got all the cool stuff there. Noah. What do you got?
Watch Polyphonic on most things. Go to YouTube, watch my video about the Hong Kong protests, or I might have a video out about Hosier by the time you do this. And it's the first video that I've made entirely in After Effects, so it's really beautiful, and my computer hates me. So
you've done it.
Go check it out.
Your transformation is complete. Hey, thank you so much to Fiona Staples, Brian K. Vaughan, Phonographics, and Image Comics for making the best spider fucking comic in the galaxy. And
hot take.
As always, I'm doing this one, Noah. You always get to do them, and I'm doing this one, Noah.
Yeah,
all
take
right?
it away. Take it away,
you
Johnny.
ready for it?
Are you gonna do it?
Fuck, I can't remember. What is it?
Am I shitting?
Oh, right, that one. Okay, bye.